Hi everyone, today's lesson for your writing is about eliminating wordiness and redundancy. What I first need you to do is dig through your interactive notebook pages, pull out your interactive notebook, and I want you to find this page. If you'd like to color it later, go right ahead, but for now you're just looking for this page. I'd like you to take a few minutes to assemble this and then we'll talk about it. You're going to cut the title out, this rectangle, and then all these pencils. Notice that the pencils are glued only behind where the erasers are, and then each pencil is cut apart, so that's a separate flap. I'll give you a few minutes to go ahead and do that, and notice that these are not cut apart. This stays as one big square or rectangle. Also, please make sure that you put this title into your table of contents so that you can keep this book organized even though we're not at school. It goes right behind this page, which we did last week. So please pause the video, and once you have this cut and glued on correctly, we will continue. All right, so let's talk about what exactly is wordiness and redundancy. In your writing, wordiness is used often and mistakenly by adding just too much information. You want to have descriptive writing, but sometimes it's not necessary. And sometimes those descriptive words actually become redundant. Redundant means that the same thing is said over and over again. What I like about this graphic organizer is that it gives you 6 examples of wordiness and redundancy. And so I'd like to go through those with you. So please follow along just as I read these on these pages here. So up here first, we're talking about, and I have my key over here, which is why I keep looking this way. Redundant modifiers. We cut the dishonest thief. The word dishonest explains the word thief, but you really have to think about it that there aren't honest thieves out there. So by saying dishonest and thief, you're being redundant. So it would be much easier if you just revise that sentence to say, we caught the thief. Over here, sometimes you have unnecessary word pairs. I spoke to each and every voter. What would be better is just to say I spoke to every voter or spoke to each voter. Right here, we're talking about unnecessary categories. The little squirrel was brown in color. What would be better is the little squirrel was brown, because we know that brown is indeed a color. Sometimes you overuse passive verbs. The antiques were destroyed in the flood. Instead, change it around to say that the flood destroyed the antiques. Down here, we have wordy expressions. Instead of saying, we decide at this point in time to stay home, when you could just say, we decide to stay home. And finally, the example here is overusing the words it is, there are. It is expensive to buy new school clothes. Instead, you could just say buying new school clothes is expensive. Now, if you see some of your own writing in these examples, or even my writing when I've sent you things and you think like, ooh, she's being wordy, or she's being redundant, or oh my gosh, my own writing is a mess, that's not the case. You can use all of these, but you don't want to use them in every single sentence. Writing is very much like music in that you want to have a rhythm. You want to have long sentences and you want to have short sentences. And so today what we're focusing on is making some of those long, redundant, wordy sentences into much shorter ones. So I want you to look at the pencils down here. And down here, there are a handful of sentences that are a little wordy or a little redundant. And I'd like you to take a few minutes to lift up each flap and revise the sentence so that it is less wordy and that it is less redundant. And then come back to so I want you to pause the video when I'm done talking here. And then I want you to do that and come on back and compare your answers to mine. If they're close, that's great. If you were stumped and you couldn't figure it out, just copy down what I say and what you see. You can always pause this. Also, I will put the answers on my website. I think that would probably be a good area to put it, just beneath today's lesson. If you scroll way down, you'll be able to see them at the bottom. But remember, I encourage you not to just hop on there and copy the answers, but try them for yourself. If we were in class in our room, I would have you do this yourself, and then I would put the correct answers on the board, so that you'd have an opportunity to compare yours and then copy them down if you were incorrect. So the first one I'll do with you, it says, there are many people helping with the play. You could just say many people are helping with the play. You don't need to say there are. That would be an example of this overuse of the word there. So go ahead and pause this and fill out each of your pencils with what you think would be a better sentence. All right, so hopefully you've written down some sentences beneath these pencils, and we'll compare to see if you're correct. I'm just going to read mine because I think it's kind of hard for you to read my writing. So just listen, feel free to pause it. And again, if you want to just see the answers in text, you can just go back to my website and scroll down and look for the answers. So the sentence, the biologist observed a large number of shrimp. You could just say the Biologists observed many shrimp. You don't need to say a large number because many is a large number. Everyone enjoyed the joyous celebration. To revise that, you could say everyone enjoyed the celebration. It's implied that a celebration is joyous because if it's not, it's really not a celebration at all. So you can remove that word joyous. After bumping his head, Kit was in a confused state of mind. You could just say after bumping his head, Kit was confused because you'd figure that if you are confused, that has to do with your state of mind. You don't necessarily have to say it. The next example says, what do you expect the end result of the experiment to be? You just say, what do you expect the result of the experiment to be? You don't need to say end result because if you had a beginning result, it wouldn't really be a result. It was determined by the jury that the defendant was guilty. Switch that around, kind of like the example up above for overuse of passive verbs, and say, the jury determined that the defendant was guilty. Finally, during that period of time, many women joined the workforce. You can get rid of time. Period is a word that we use to measure time, so you don't need to say period of time. Instead, say during that period, many women joined the workforce. So I hope that this kind of gave you a nice indicator of what wordiness and redundancy is, and hope that you'll be able to do this in your own writing. Remember, your stories where I'm asking you each day this week to make a small revision should not be submitted until the final lesson on Friday. And then you'll have until Monday morning to get that sent to me. Also, since I have your attention here, I want to remind you that you do need to do the attendance question every single day, and you have to do the work. I've noticed a lot of you are not submitting. I'm still missing quite a few persuasive paragraphs from last Friday. Don't make me call your parents. Just please get those submitted in. Also, the questions of the day, if you feel uncomfortable for any reason posting something that everyone in your class can see, just send me your answer over email. All I need to see is that you are online and present for learning each and every day. And that would just make it much easier instead of us having to call your parents or Miss Cook or anything like that. Just please do the work each day. I love hearing from all of you. So please send me a Google chat or send me an email, and I will help you figure out whatever you don't understand. Thank you.